Hello, and welcome back to Studio 204 here at Cowley College.
And we're here with the last edition for the spring semester.
And we're ending it off with a good one. With subjects ranging from motivation to making money, it'll be sure to keep your interest.
Your mental health might seem unimportant in comparison to making sure you pass a class with the grades you want, but it can seriously affect your studying habit skills.
So, as you're focusing on your studies, make sure you leave some time for yourself.
As a college student, it's hard to strike a balance between letting yourself have time off and making yourself study, especially when you don't have the motivation for it.
Motivation is a huge issue in college, and one many students struggle with. This next piece highlights this issue and sheds some light on it.
Many high school students decide to continue their education at a high level, and they choose to attend colleges and universities around the US. According to Education Data Initiative, in fall 2024, college enrollment totaled in 19.24 million people. But what exactly motivates students to continue their education despite all of the challenges that they might encounter on their educational pathway? There has been some research on the topic. For example, University of Oregon claims that personal fulfillment is one of the main motivations for students to finish their education. We decided to dive deeper in this topic and examine what exactly helps students to stay motivated throughout their college years.
In your opinion, what do you believe separates those that wish to finish their degree and those that choose to maybe pause or discontinue their post-secondary education?
There's a lot that goes in to our motivation. And so just talking about motivation alone, we have intrinsic and extrinsic. The
Yes.
intrinsic motivation is doing something that you yourself enjoy, and that's why you do it. And then that extrinsic is there's an external reason to what you're doing. You know, you're doing this to get that, or maybe you're doing this to avoid that, whatever that could be. And so that alone is a big piece. You know, are the students coming here because they actually want to come here, and are they studying, are they on the pathway of study of something that they actually are interested in? Because that's a big factor. Time and time again, survey after survey, study after study, when they look at students who are majoring or in a field of study that maybe they didn't really choose, it was just something that somebody gave them the idea about, they're just not as happy and as committed to those ones who have kind of figured out, hey, yeah, this is it. But what's awesome about Cowley is students have a little bit of time to figure out that path to get more motivated. You know, some people might be motivated to be like, okay, I know I want to go to college. I know I want to get a degree, but I need a little bit more time. Well, this is a good place to start because while you're taking your general ed requirements that basically everyone has to take, you can be taking a couple of those electives to and talking to our enrollment representatives, our advisors, your teachers, and other mentors on campus about maybe what could be a path that you maybe never heard of or thought of before. And so that's really good because we can get the motivation. We can work on all those other skill sets as well.
Thus, as we can see, students have various reasons to stay motivated throughout their college life. And with the right motivation, students are able to face with all the difficulties of education and life.
Staying motivated and engaged in college isn't always easy, but it is possible. Whether it's limiting distractions or setting up a reward system, there's something that can help you, or maybe there are people you can rely on to help you.
Having a support system in college is very important, especially around this age when you're figuring out who you are and what you believe in.
We have an opinion piece coming up that's just about that, exploring who you are in college, specifically about religion.
Religion is a fundamental and integral part of our civilization. It encourages the masses to preserve and strive for something in life. Religion makes people feel good. All of us have a desire to know what happens after death, and religion is our answer to that. We want to make sense of nature, the world, and the universe around us. Why are we here? How did we get here? Why are we intelligent? And where do we go? These are all questions you have probably asked yourself like anybody else who has lived before us. Life is full of unanswered questions, and we are very curious animals. Everything we do has a reason, so when we're challenged with the understanding of not knowing what our reason is, we'll look for it. Religion has provided a benefit of survival throughout all of history. A sense of community, a central idea, and a guide to life. Structure. And the structure of these religions encourages healthy habits, decisions, and behaviors. Religion also enhances social connections, which is an integral part in our species to survive. These are all fundamental things that we need as humans to survive. Collaboration and support. A community, a purpose, and a guide to life gives you a sense of security. Religious people often report that they are happier and healthier than people who claim to be atheists, and that is because of the stress-free feelings that come with religion. As humans, we can't focus on what's to come after. We can't harp on the future or the death of a loved one. We must go on in order to survive. Religion, or a belief in an afterlife, helps us cope with death within ourselves or a loved one. Having the belief that you'll be able to see them again lessens the sting. Conversions happen when somebody's looking to cope, whether that may be death anxiety or stress in their life. It's rarely ever done alone. Typically, you'll have people around you, peers, loved ones, that want to support you and will help you guide through it. People turn to God when they're struggling. The support from the people around you and a belief that there is somebody above watching you makes you feel great, better than you did before. You feel welcome, heard, loved. But on the other side, deconversion is often very lonely. It occurs when reason gives the believer no choice. The logic just doesn't add up. It doesn't work within themselves. It takes a lot of time for them to eventually find the truth, but it shakes the understanding of their religion. It makes you feel guilty. It feels shameful. Many people fall out of religion through numerous reasons, whether that's inconsistencies in the teachings, hypocrisy, sexism, homophobia. It all stems down to an incompatibility with the person's logic. Reason gave no choice to pick, as the conflict was too much to believe. They go with their judgment. When religion is brought upon you at a young age, you're more likely to fall out of the belief system as you age. When children are young, they are susceptible to anything. They're gullible, whether that be Santa, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. These are all very real to them because they haven't experienced anything that challenges their beliefs, their understanding of the world. So when children are taught the truth at a young age, sure, they'll believe it, but as they age and experience the world for themselves, they start to gain their own understandings of how things work. Understanding science or believing in other social issues that just contradict or conflict with your religion makes you think. And when somebody ultimately decides that they don't want to believe in it anymore, the guilt, the shame, and the backlash that you may receive is there. Islamic states where they have blasphemy laws, where you can be killed for denouncing a religion, people getting shunned, Jehovah's Witnesses losing their family connections because they fell out of religion. Conversion throughout history has always been about pushing a message out, whether that be missionaries or just word of mouth. But as we have approached the 21st century and moved on to a more technological state, the means of getting that information out to people is as simple as just uploading it to the internet, talking about it like I am right now. And I believe this is linked to the resurgence of younger generations wanting to become spiritual or who claim to be spiritual, and other forms of spirituality coming out like astrology and people who like those little moon rock things. Mainly Generation Z. Generation Z spans from 1997 to 2012. This generation has grown up in a world of division, hate, and economic instability, terror. Life feels unsatisfying and unfulfilling to many of us. And it goes back full circle to religion makes you feel better. It helps ease the stresses of life. It allows us to continue. It allows us to want to inherit.
It can be hard to figure out the right fit for you sometimes, but it's okay to not have it all figured out.
There are so many choices we are asked to make in college, whether it's something relating to you financially, personally, or spiritually. We might need a little advice to help us sometimes.
While there might be some decisions you need to come up with on your own, there are also things that you can easily be educated about, like handling your money.
Well, if you need some financial advice, we have an upcoming piece for you that has got it covered. Let's just say it'll keep you invested.
Handling your finances in college can be tricky, but investing, especially at an early age, is a great way to increase your funds and let you gain a little bit of independence in your finances. But let's talk a little more about what that really means.
What's your thought process when investing?
I'm mainly looking at like what's going on in the economy as a whole, not just with that company, but how that's going to play into effect, what's going to happen. For example, we just had a big hit in the economy, so that was a good shot to jump in when everything was really low. So I threw some money down on a couple different places, and now everything's coming back and I'm making money. So just kind of reading the room basically, and just seeing what's going on with the company, what their plans are, and how the economy's playing too.
What has been your biggest investment success, and what did you learn from it?
I'd say my biggest investment in success is going to be something probably not as big as people would think, but just having a retirement fund. It sounds really small, but in the grand scheme of things, by the time that it starts to pile up and I get older and think about retiring, I'm going to have a lot of money and it's going to be real nice versus, not having money when I'm retiring. So that's pretty nice to have in the back pocket and know about.
What's some advice you would maybe give to somebody that's just beginning to invest or just in the beginning stages still?
I'd say don't worry too much about like the stuff you see on the internet. You see all these people like talking about how they're day trading and doing this and this and what the economy's doing. And I think even as a finance major and all that, like sometimes I can kind of go over your head. Even for me, sometimes those guys sound like they're spitting a bunch of spaghetti out of their mouth. Just start small. Like little small funds, retirement, stuff like that is really important to get started when you're first starting, and not trying to dive in headfirst and like get lost in doing too much.
Beyond growing your money, investing can help students prepare for the future. Even if you are not planning to invest as a college student, there are lots of valuable skills that come from being knowledgeable about your money and where it's going.
Even if you don't put much stock in the importance of investing, it can still be a valuable tool to put some effort into understanding your finances as well as how our ever-changing economy affects them.
While the economy is constantly changing, so is our world. There are many new developments every day, ranging from stock market changes to tax updates and executive orders.
Did you know, according to CBS News, that President Donald Trump signed 100 executive orders more than a month before he even had 100 days in office? Well, if you're interested in hearing more about these executive orders, then this upcoming piece is definitely something you want to stay tuned for.
Hello, my name is Dylan Miller, and I wanted to highlight the executive orders that are being pushed through at the White House today. Not only are they frivolous and are also pushing an agenda, they really just don't make sense, and a lot of them are duplicates. Donald Trump has pushed out 124 in 100 days. When you think of executive orders, you think of something significant or something that needs to change now. While that can be true, I've chosen a few executive orders that I thought were frivolous or outright ironic from what has happened in today's world. The first one I chose was maintaining acceptable water pressure in shower heads, as it's a reversal of standards placed by another president and removes regulations. Now, if you thought that one was pretty funny, how about establishing a Bitcoin reserve, which is headed by a crypto enthusiast that has talked about pumping Solana, which is basically fraud, while on podcast with other crypto friends who are billionaires, okay? How about ending the forced use of paper straws? I mean, paper straws have just become a massive issue, not just for me, but those around me. And who does not love the separation of church and state by having a White House faith office, which is led by a televangelist who stars in misleading advertisements on TV directed towards $1,000 donations.
You're not doing this to get something, but you're doing it in honor to God, realizing what you can receive.
For your special Passover offering of $1,000 or more as the Holy Spirit leads.
How about holding former government officials accountable for election interference and improper disclosure of sensitive government information? That's a long one, I must say. But I wonder if Trump will ever hold his own to that standard, or if it's just for those he dislikes. There's no way Trump would appoint anyone who could do something like that. My final one, that hopefully should spark something, is any executive order talking about ending government censorship or restoring free speech. As government censorship has become overbearing during these first 3 months, government's transition to Trump's presidency, people being kidnapped off the road, institutions having their funds withheld because they don't hold the same values or they don't hold the same ideas as President Trump, or reporters being kicked out of the White House because they won't say Gulf of America. This presidency has undermined executive orders like no other. Donald Trump signing 124 in 100 days, with a lot of these being duplicates to attack the same thing, or a lot of them being frivolous and having no use or being reversed later on. Hopefully today, I was able to highlight some of the issues with executive orders and how they've become such a nuance in this day and age, and how presidents can easily abuse them to not only create chaos, but also flood the courts. I think executive orders should be held to a higher power while not being overshadowed by Congress and the Senate.
No matter how you feel about these executive orders, it's always important to stay up to date on what's going on in current events, especially with things that can influence and impact college students so directly.
Speaking of current events, there are some very important events that happened in the month of April that deserve to be highlighted. The college campus hosted the What Are You Wearing exhibit for Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, and there was also the annual Take Back the Night event that took place at Ireland Park in Winfield.
Raising awareness for sexual assault prevention and uplifting the voices of victims is incredibly important, especially when it's on a college campus. The month may be over, but we don't have to stop spreading awareness and information about this issue. In fact, let's delve a little deeper.
Across the country, advocates, survivors, and organizers are working to create a future free from sexual assault. But what does that look like in our own community? We set out to understand the impact of sexual violence, and through stories of prevention, efforts to create a safer environment, and powerful reminders that survivors are never to blame, we found voices of hope, strength, and change right here in Cowley County.
According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, or RAIN, every 68 seconds an American is sexually assaulted. But behind every number is a person, a story, and a call for change. Alexis Smith, Miss Kansas 2024, is one of those voices, advocating for healthy relationships and empowering others through her platform, Respect Reclaimed.
Being Miss Kansas is having an incredible platform where I get to share my story. I say it's one of a rare form of preventative education because there's not a lot of people that like to talk about the abuse that has happened to them. But through the work, through the advocacy that I've done, I've recognized that by sharing my story, I also encourage others to share their story. And that kind of brings that sense of togetherness to be able to empower others to change through our own personal stories and experiences.
Sexual assault leaves lasting effects, not just on survivors, but on families, relationships, and entire communities. And if a survivor does choose to come forward, having the right response, support, and protection can make all the difference. We spoke with Christina McDonald, Undersheriff of Cowley County, about how law enforcement responds to sexual assault and how they're working to build trust and safety.
The steps that someone would take should they be the victim of an assault can differ on what they are comfortable with. They can either make a report anonymously and have a SANSART kit completed. The hospital, which is the William Newton Hospital here in Winfield, if they want to make that report to law enforcement, how that would look is they make contact with a law enforcement officer, either at their home, at the hospital, at the dorm, wherever it is that they want to make that report. And then the officer takes their information and it will either take them to the hospital for the SANSART exam, or they will let them make that decision of whether they want to do that or not. It's not a short process. It is quite lengthy. There is a couple of hours of getting information and photographing and talking to that individual about what occurred to them, but it's very important that all those details are collected.
While the issue is complex, one thing is clear. Prevention and support matter. The What Were You Wearing exhibit, hosted at Cowley College for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, challenges harmful myths about assault and brings attention to the reality that survivors are never to blame. Dawn Simpson, one of the exhibit's organizers and the Title IX coordinator for Cowley College, spoke with us about the importance of this powerful display.
I think the theme of Together We Act, United We Change. This display is perfect for that thing. What were you wearing is on the premise when someone says they've been sexually assaulted. One of the first questions that usually was asked, and may still be asked, is what were you wearing? Implying that that person somehow brought it on themselves. And people need to learn that it has nothing to do with what you were wearing, what you did. It is all about the other person and what they did. So in promoting that and changing people's viewpoint, we are making a change in the future.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month is more than just a month. It's a movement.
Whether it's supporting survivors, educating ourselves, or advocating for policy changes, we all have a role to play.
Because together we act, and united we change.
This April, let's listen, learn, and stand together against sexual violence.
If you or someone you know needs help, confidential support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. For more information and resources, visit www.rain.org.
As Sexual Assault Awareness Month comes to a close and we're delving into the month of May, we encourage everyone to stay informed, support victims, and continue having these important conversations, no matter what the month is.
We are not only wrapping up the month, but we are also wrapping up our final broadcast of the spring semester.
Which means one final sports update. If you catch yourself wondering about baseball, softball, or soccer, good, because we've got it all right here.
Hi, welcome to the Tiger's Den. I'm Cliff, and today I got some interviews cooking up for you. We talked to our athletic directors about baseball and softball, with how they're doing before the playoffs. We also caught up with them on any findings of the new men's soccer coach.
They're having a great season right now, ranked number 4 in the country. Just won a doubleheader against Allen, 11-0 and 8-0 to go to 29-7 overall, 18-4 in the conference, tied with Johnson County for first place. So having a great season, really kind of hitting their stride where they want right now. Johnson and Barton are going to be probably our toughest teams we'll face at the region. We played Johnson already this year and split with them in the games. They're going to be the teams to beat. Kansas City, Kansas has also got another formidable team. So I'd say along with Johnson County, Barton, KCK, and us, those are going to be the 4 to really be the ones that will have the best chance, I think, to come out of the region.
Some players you should be looking out for is pitcher Kyler Zager. With 9 wins and 12 appearances on this season, he has an ERA of 3. Russ Smith has 7 wins, 57 strikeouts. Dax McCaskill with a batting average of 3.64 and 14 home runs on the season. Your Cowley Tigers took down Highland in the softball tournament this past Monday. Taverly Tennant has been looking really good with a batting average of 494, 16 home runs, and 24 doubles. Pitching has been a great addition to Cowley as well, with Micah Van having an ERA of 2.14 and 22 wins through 35 appearances. Ezra Ardonato has been carrying the torch for this softball pitching staff as well with an ERA of 2.46. She also can hit the ball with a batting average of 395.
The girls are doing really well. They're playing their best ball right now. They've won 6 games in a row. In the last 4 games, they've outscored the opposition 53-4. So they're really putting it all together right now, offense and defense and pitching.
We also caught up with them on any findings of the new men's soccer coach.
If we had a resume come in and maybe all they had was high school experience or something like that, that would be something that would be significant for us.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had like head coach collegiate position, maybe JUCO or Division II or NAIA, or even at the Division I level, then that would pique our interest just from the basic experience. We eventually pick 3 to 5, and then we'll have face-to-face interviews, either face-to-face or in Zoom. We do have a committee set up. That is currently, I think it was made up of 5 or 6 individuals, including myself, to ask questions, get to know. We try to make sure that we do keep it within the department. So administratively speaking, a coach or 2. We might even include a staff member sometimes, like an athletic trainer, or anybody that's involved with athletics. Just depends. And then pulling some from faculty and also from other areas on the campus. We have had a lot of coaches stay here when they've gotten pretty good offers from other places because they love it here and they like the culture here and the things we've established. They like the community and they like the small town college feel. And so, speaking for me, in my experience, wasn't a coach but an athletic trainer, had other opportunities to go other places, but I decided not to because this place became what I would say intrinsic to me. It meant a lot from the inside out, and I decided to stay, so and I've been here ever since.
I was told by Rama Peru himself that we were able to get a soccer coach figured out. They have not been able to release that information yet. And that's all we have for Tigers Den. Remember, this past finals week is going to be stressful, but you'll get through it. Go Tigers!